everybody. Welcome back to Just Keep Parenting. That's what we do, right? We just keep helping. We just keep parenting. We just keep living. I was privileged enough to work with Fred Rogers Institute this last week, and we were talking about listening and communicating in our meeting. And one of the things that I just kept thinking about is the fact that we communicate or we listen not just with our ears, right? We listen with our whole bodies. And I've been talking to my teachers about that each day. And one of the things that I keep thinking about is as we listen with our whole body, right? Our bodies turn to the person, our eyes are focused on them, we're kind of leaning in, whatever that looks like for us individually. When we listen with our whole body, I think we're better able to listen with our hearts. And one of the things that we try to teach the teachers is, right, to get on their level, have some eye contact. Today I was sitting at a table with a child and he wanted to tell her that he was going to come read to the class on the 27th of October. And he said, "Miss Joy, she's not listening to me." And I said, "Well, buddy, you're kind of taking a really long time to tell her. But if you take a snippet, that means you just take a little piece and you tell her." So he's looking at her and he's telling her about the 27th and how he's going to talk about the biomes. And he keeps looking at me like this. And I'm like, remember, look at her, right? So as we're teaching these skills to children, I think it's good for us to remember it as adults too. As I was sitting on this Zoom meeting, it was just wonderful. We were all muted except for the person who was talking typically. And it was just so nice to be able to, we'd see everybody on the screen shaking their head and giving us a thumbs up. And it was beautiful, right? And we got to see a picture, a snippet of Mr. Rogers' hula hoop lesson. And I just sat there and I thought, okay, I've got to do a better job at listening to both adults and to children. And so one of the things that I've been thinking about is, as we've talked about the book, Easy to Love, Difficult to Discipline, right? There's another book that Becky Bailey has out, and it's called I Love You Rituals. And I thought, maybe that's where we start, is as we think about listening and communicating better, one of the things that we can do better is these I Love You rituals. And she talks about, I love how she talks about in her book at the very beginning, she talks about how, when you come home from work and your spouse says, you're talking about all the things that you had going on for your day, and then the spouse says, "Ooh, tell me about this and tell me about this," rather than what's for dinner when we walk in the door, right? Because we're kind of training our brains, right, to be either on the negative side or think on the positive side. And her idea behind this book called I Love You Rituals is helping us to connect more with our hearts as we connect with each other. So let me just read this piece to you. I love that she takes it from nursery rhymes, and she said, the nursery rhyme that we've all known, right? She said, "There was an old lady who lived in a shoe. She had so many children she didn't know what to do. She fed them broth without any bread. She whipped them all soundly and sent them to bed." And then she asks, what kind of feeling are you feeling about that, right? As you're visualizing this old woman and all the children and feeding them some broth and whipping them all soundly. What does that feel like, right? One of my nieces who had a baby about 6 months ago, I had told her, I said, you want to read lots of nursery rhymes to him. And there's research that tells us if kids can hear and start to memorize nursery rhymes, that they're better readers. And so she's like, I'm all over that, right? Well, she read this book, she read this one, and she's like, Aunt Tori, that is doesn't make me feel good, right? And we have to pick and choose with those. But I love what Becky does. She changed it. She changed it to this. A wonderful woman lived in a shoe. She had so many children, she knew exactly what to do. She held them, she rocked them, and tucked them in bed. I love you, is what she said. And then she asks us to think about that again. What kind of a feeling does that leave you with, right? So as we think about I love you rituals, one of the things that we're doing is we're boosting our child's brain potential, right? And so she goes through this book and she talks a lot about routines and rituals, right? And we have to have both of them. We have a little child right now who's really struggled with putting on her name tag when she comes in. And she's missed 3 days of centers. And the first day I thought, this is not going to be a big deal. She's sitting here, we're talking. I'm trying to get her to put on her name tag. And this is what the name tag looks like, right? It has it on both sides. And to answer the question of the day. And she hasn't wanted to do that. And I don't know if it's because the separation from her parent is kind of rough. That separation is still hard for her. And I'm thinking it's not about the name tag. It's about the separation, right? So Monday we had the same thing. She didn't put it on. She missed an hour of centers. And so at this point we're trying to figure out, okay, so is it the name tag? Is it still the fact that she's not separating and it's hard for her and it's taking her that long to get from her brainstem back up to the, front lobar cortex? And I reached out to the mother and the mother said she's never said anything about the name tag. I said, all right, so maybe what we need to do is have a happy goodbye, right? And so as that mother brings the child to school, they've planned something. They've practiced it before so that when we come to school tomorrow, I'm going to do, what shall we do? Right? This little girl loves to play patty cake. And so can we play patty cake so that then mommy goes to work and you go to school and then we come back? Anyway, today she only sat at the table for 10 minutes before she put on her name tag, answered the question of the day, and went to centers. Now this is after 3 days, right, of not doing it, but of not doing centers. But she was happy, and she's always happy afterwards. I mean, it's like a switch turns. So mom has been very supportive of us taking it on and saying, sometimes tough love is hard, right? And so this routine thing, and it's taken her 3 days, and boom, she's on with it, right? And so I'm hoping that we've crossed that bridge. But I've just been thinking about, could I have done something differently to have like a happy hello, right, with her, so that she has a happy goodbye, she has a happy hello, and it goes back to this ritual idea of we're starting something again. I remember we had a child who a few years ago who didn't want to leave school, right? She just hated it when her mom came because she's like, I'm not done, Mom, this is so fun. And so we talked about having, there again, a happy hello, right? A happy hello as the mother came to pick her up. And so I remember she used to go around her face like around and around and around she goes. And I can't remember all of it, but that little girl just loved to have her mother come and do the touching, right? And do that ritual with her. And then she was ready to go. And it was just such a nice transition for the child, whereas before it was hard for them. So one of the things that she talks about in this book is the fact that the first goal for the I Love You rituals, right, is to optimize your child's brain for success and school and in life. So we want to do all that we can to get their brain. I mean, this is the most important years right here at the very beginning, right? So we want to optimize it so that they can have success at home, at school, and for life. The second thing she talks about, the second reason we want to do I Love You rituals, are they increase our learning potential and effectiveness through touch, right? One of the things that I talk to the teachers about, if a child is having a hard time not, focusing, doing those things, just to reach out and just put your hand on them, right? It brings them back into focus again. Sometimes we've had children that have just loved their hand just kind of drawn on during large group, right? It comes back to most of us have a need for touch. Now, if a child, when I go to do this and they do this, I'm not going to do that to them, right? I'm going to say to them, would you like to hold my hand, right? And so I'm going to ask if I see them pulling away, because maybe touch is not what they need best. And the third one that she talks about is they create loving rituals that hold families together even through the roughest times. I remember a ritual that my family did, and we loved to sing, You Are My Sunshine, My Only Sunshine. We started with my grandmother Turley, right? And when I want to go to my happy place again, that's what I do. You are my sunshine, right? I have things around my house that talk about you are my sunshine. The other ritual was make it a great day, right? Mom would give us a hug, send us out the door and say, make it a great day. And so even during the roughest of times, these family rituals, these I love you rituals can hold us together, right? And the last reason that she gives for them is that I love you rituals strengthen the bond between adults and children that insulates children from drugs, violence, and peer pressure, laying the foundation for mental and emotional health. Gosh, and we need that in today's world, right? We need to strengthen that bond between children and adults. And as we come together with these I love you rituals, if you're interested, let me know, and I can do a few more videos on this. It's a pretty easy book, fun activities for parents and children that boost brain potential, encourage cooperation and caring, promote learning and literacy, increase attention and decrease power struggles, build bonds of unconditional love. One of the things that we do in the classroom is we have butterfly handshakes. So this is me and this is a child, and we have a butterfly handshake together, right, as they come to school. There's all different kinds of handshakes in here, but as we want to increase our child's success, this is a great way to do it. So thanks for joining us today, and come back next time.